Oh, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da. Oh, you've heard the whole thing. Let's do it together. Yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da. Oh, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da. Oh. Yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da. Oh, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da. Oh. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. That is a little nigun out of Hadar, a really cool, pluralistic um, uh, educational and musical organization in New York City. They have a very talented Hazan named Joey Weisenberg, and that is his nigun. And it is so good to see all of you here at 5200 Old Mill Road. I'm like kind of astonished by the number of chairs I see with people in them in here. It's really nice. And I know we've got several people online as well. It's great that we are all able to be here together to welcome Shabbat. Let us continue on page 128. Page 128, how lovely Shabbat is. Ma yafeh hayom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. You know, my musical people, I think this works as a round. I'm not 100% sure. We should play around with it, yeah? Okay, so we'll start at the beginning and we'll just see what happens. 1, 2, ready, sing. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Ooh, that's nice. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We will continue on page 142. Page 142, as we continue our welcoming of Shabbat with Shalom Alechem, peace be to you. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchoni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let us continue on page 126. Let's read together, shall we? I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. As we enter Shabbat together as a community, as a holy community of people who realize that to love God is to love each other, let us look back at this week and find those moments of love that got us through what maybe it was a tough week. How many people lost their power in here? I'm just curious. Okay. All right, good. I'm glad it wasn't more people, but it was a lot of power loss for those who did lose it on a very hot day. It was a rough week. And what is it that got you through this week? Was there a connection with another person, somebody you're connected to all the time or somebody you met for the very first time? Some encounter that, love isn't always an overwhelming feeling. It's just sometimes a positive connection with another human being. Yes, I see you and you see me. Think about those connections that you had this week. May these connections with other images of God carry you into this Shabbat and be a point that you can return to when you're feeling maybe a little disconnected. I'd like to invite Joanne and Elliot McCrory to the Bema, and we will turn to page 120. Page 120. And what happens on page 120? Well, I'll tell you. We have the blessings for the lighting of the Shabbat candles. These candles, which will guide us, provide light to us in the dark. We had candles going at home. There's practical use for candles. And they are our official entry, our gateway from the regular time of this week into Shabbat. And so Joanne, you will light, and you have an option of matches. Just push that; it stays lit. Yeah, there you go. We'll light and then bless. I'll sing this, and then you can read that in English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom. Let us turn to page 138. And on page 138, we find the prayer, the poem, the piyut, Lechadodi, traditionally understood to come from Sfat, where many things spiritual and and many things filled with imagery have come from, and this prayer is no different. We express our joy of returning to Shabbat the way we express the joy of returning to all of those we love. We will sing verses 1, 5, and 9. And as we come to verse 9, we will stand and we will face the open door and send our Shabbat blessings, our prayers out into the world so they can do the work they need to do. Lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shemu tiferet veit hilah lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela hitoreri ki ba'orei kumi ori uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alaik nigla lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi b'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Wow, we are cacophonous in here. This is great. Take a moment and greet someone near you and maybe make eye contact, and wave at somebody not near you. And then turn around and look at Sam and wave and say hello to those who are joining us on Zoom. Sam's waving back. That's nice. Thank you, Sam. And we will, now that we have been properly greeted, we will continue on page 144. We'll stay standing as we're able. And we will continue with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah ve'elmad yivrach cherotei ve'amlik malchutei v'chayechon u'yom echon u'chayei kol beit Yisrael Bagala uvizman kari vimeru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'alamu al mehalmaya yitbarach bishtabach V'itpa'ar v'itnoram v'itnaseh v'ithadar v'italev v'ithalal shemei kudusha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran behalma v'imeru. Amen. Please turn the page. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai 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 la la. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. Let us read together at the top of page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Let us turn the page and together offer the blessing of everlasting love. Let us read at the bottom of page 150 in the English, Ahavat Olam. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Israel. Let us now turn the page, and please rise as you are able for Shema. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. On Monday, on Sunday, that's it every day of the week. On Sunday, we will be observing the national commemoration of Juneteenth. Juneteenth, which is short for June 19th, marks the day when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1865 to take control of the state and ensure that all enslaved people be freed. The troops' arrival came a full 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth honors the end to slavery in the United States and is considered the longest-running African-American holiday. Last year, in 2021, it officially became a federal holiday. Confederate General Robert E. Lee had surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse 2 months earlier in Virginia, but slavery had remained relatively unaffected in Texas until U.S. General Gordon Granger stood on Texas soil and read General Orders Number 3. The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. It is, I think, fitting that at this moment, after we remember the freedom of so many generations of enslaved people in our country, we turn to page 158 and prepare to sing our people's song of redemption when our people were freed from slavery. As we prepare for Micha Mocha, I'd like to offer this meditation on Micha Mocha and Juneteenth by Rabbi Ahuva Zaks. For years, 400 years, our ancestors lived each day as slaves. Many whose parents and grandparents were born as slaves and died as slaves despaired of ever experiencing a better life. But some kept alive the hope that tomorrow might be different from today. And they were mocked by those who asked with bitterness, why should this year be any different from the last? That is, until this hope was finally realized when the day came and the messengers triumphantly declared that slavery had officially ended. At that moment, the waters parted jubilantly and all the people marched together across dry land. And they celebrated, oh, how they celebrated, a new day, a new era, a new life of freedom. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Osef ele, Nora tehilot, Osef ele Adonai imloch leolam vaed malchut techa uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam zelianu ve'amru Adonai imloch leolam vaed Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Osef ele, Nora tehilot, Osef ele Adonai imloch leolam vaed. Let us turn to page 160. And let us read together in English the blessing Hashki Venu, blessing the God who provides us shelter and peace. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace, Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter on us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We turn now to page 164. And as we prepare to offer the Amidah, the Tefillah, the central prayer of our liturgy, I'd like you to prepare by taking a moment and finding a blessing for which you are especially grateful on this Shabbat. Keep that blessing in your heart and let it provide momentum for you as you say your Amidah. We will continue on page 164 and pray on the even pages through page 170. Please rise as you are able. Adonai, Sephatai Tiftach, Ufi Agi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora, El Elyon, Kol Mel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevei Gula Livnei V'Nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye metim atah rav lehoshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechaye metim berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hametim. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We continue in silent prayer. A Juneteenth prayer. At Easy Answers, half-truths and superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your own heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed those who suffer pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and turn their pain into joy. May God bless you with enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in the world, so that you can do what others claim cannot be undone. May God bless you with discomfort at Easy Answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your heart. We turn to page 180, and let us continue with a prayer for peace. Ose shalom bimromal huyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru Amen. Let us turn to page 371. We have come to the time when we pray for those who are in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit, and we pray for their caregivers. I'll read our communal Misha Barak list, and then I'll invite you to share the names of those for whom you are praying this Shabbat. We pray for the healing of Ruth Bloom, Andrew Bosell, Pircha Bat-Bracha, Adolf Breitman, Adrienne Breitman, Roberta Butts, Todd Craigo, Bonnie Kruba, Tony Ficaro, Monique Lynch, Kaylin Nagel, Tom O'Neill, Debbie Charay, Gary Smythe, Rivka Sweedler, John Tam, Annie Trotter Gurnady. And to these names we add for all these names and the names in our heart. Let us offer a Misha Barak for healing, which you'll find in the middle of page 371. Misha Barak avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Our Torah portion this week, Baha'alotcha, includes racism, gossip and its consequences, God's view of the unique relationship between God and Moses, and healing. So much is happening that I think it's best to just jump in to Numbers chapter 12. We have a story here that I think is very reflective of human nature. See what you think. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman he had taken into his household as his wife. He took a Cushite woman, they said. Has Adonai spoken only through Moses? Has God not spoken through us as well? Adonai heard it. Now Moses himself was very humble, more so than any other human being on earth. Suddenly, Adonai called to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam and said, "Come out, you three, to the tent of meeting." So the three of them went out. Adonai came down in a pillar of cloud, stopped at the entrance of the tent, and called out, "Aaron and Miriam." The two of them came forward, and God said, "Hear these my words. When the prophets of Adonai rise among you, I make myself known to them in a vision. I speak with them in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is trusted throughout my household. With him, I speak mouth to mouth, plainly, not in riddles, and he beholds the likeness of Adonai. How then did you not shrink from speaking against my servant Moses? Still incensed with them, Adonai departed. As the cloud withdrew from the tent, there was Miriam stricken with snow-white scales. When Aaron turned toward Miriam, he saw that she was stricken with scales. And Aaron said to Moses, "Oh, my Lord, account not to us the sin which we committed in our folly." So Moses cried out to Adonai, saying, "El na refana la." "Oh God, please heal her." But Adonai said to Moses, "If her father spat in her face, would she not bear her shame for 7 days? Let her be shut out of the camp for 7 days, and then let her be readmitted." So Miriam was shut out of camp for 7 days, and the people did not march on until Miriam was readmitted. These 15 verses of Torah serve as the basis or the reference to three very important Jewish ideas. The first Jewish idea is that we are to refrain from speaking negatively about other people. In Jewish tradition, this is called lashon hara, evil tongue, and we are to avoid it in nearly all circumstances, even if we are speaking the truth. Miriam was spilling the tea on Zipporah, possibly out of a sense of jealousy of God favoring Moses over her and Aaron. The Eternal One didn't care for this at all, and two things happened. First, God, speaking of his relationship with Moses, sets Moses above all other prophets. It is only with Moses that God speaks with God's mouth directly and plainly, rather than speaking through visions or dreams. And God does something else. God makes a punishment upon Miriam for her lashon hara, her evil speech against Moses, the white scaly affliction that covered her body. This leads us to the second Jewish idea from these verses, which is the healing presence of God. When Miriam was struck by the biblical affliction Metzora, that's what it was, which we encountered earlier in Exodus and Leviticus, when this happened, this scaly condition is associated with impurity. So anyone diagnosed with it must be expelled from the community until they recover. And Moses is trying to avoid this penalty for his sister as he calls out, Elna Rafana La, oh God, please heal her. As it turns out, God declines to heal Miriam, at least immediately, and she must be put out of the camp for 7 days. The big idea here is that God is the source of healing. Moses didn't say, oh God, may you allow that Miriam is caused to be healed. No. He implores God to heal Miriam directly. El na rafana la. We remember this aspect of God's presence, the healer, every time we offer the Misha Barach for healing, as we just experienced together. The third Jewish idea that comes from these verses is the relationship between Jews and the mixed multitudes who are a part of our communities and travel through life with us. Miriam and Aaron are speaking badly of their sister-in-law, Moses' wife, Zipporah, because she is a Cushite and not an Israelite. However, as we heard, God obviously holds Moses in very high esteem. That Moses is in a mixed marriage has no impact on Moses' standing, except it seems with his siblings. The big idea here is that God's primary prophet to the Jewish people was himself married to a non-Jew. This aspect of Moses' story gives great dignity and holiness to the interfaith relationships and non-Jewish members of our congregations and Jewish communities. Please allow me to go back to the first idea from this week's Torah portion, lashon hara. I'd like to share a real-time example from the Jewish world. Earlier this week, the Jewish news and culture outlet Tablet Magazine published an article by Jennifer Bielek, an openly transphobic writer known for advocating against medical transition, entitled "The Billionaire Family Pushing Synthetic Sex Identities." It's quite a title. This story is one part Jewish conspiracy theory, evoking significant anti-Semitic tropes, and another part anti-trans hit piece. Mishkan Chicago, a pluralistic and inclusive Jewish community, published an open letter to Tablet Magazine, and here's how it begins. The Torah in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21 teaches that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Our tradition is unequivocal. When presented with this choice, we choose life, and we do that for every human being, regardless of race, religion, nationality, and certainly gender identity or expression. We use our words carefully because we know that words can stoke hatred and fear and contribute to real violence done to real people. It's highly ironic that a prominent Jewish publication would pick this week of Parashat Behala Lecha in the middle of Pride Month to provoke such a stunning example of Lashon Hara. Words that promote disdain and hatred of trans people have consequences. As the Mishkan Chicago letter to the editor continues, 2021 was the deadliest year on record for transgender and non-binary Americans, with 57 documented murders. We are already on track to surpass that number this year. This fact is particularly sobering during a month when we celebrate the incredible gains that the LGBTQ community has experienced over the past few decades, understanding that there is still great work to be done. Discriminatory legislation targeting trans and non-binary folks is at an all-time high, and may I add, recently took place in this state. And much of it is aimed at the most vulnerable among us, children, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and those under-resourced. In these moments, what we say matters. There is no place in our community for transphobia. It is neither legitimized by what we know to be true about sex and gender today, nor does it find support in what we have known to be true about sex and gender for millennia, which Jewish tradition recognizes and reflects in our own sources, which this author takes no pains to mention. We are shocked and saddened to see that Tablet would publish such a piece on your site, playing into the worst stereotypes of Jews, that's the conspiracy theory part, and into the most binary and inaccurate understandings of gender. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. These words from Proverbs could have been uttered by a prophet, because in our contemporary world, their truth is evident. Lashon Hara isn't just about not being nice to one another. It is about promoting respect for the lives of other human beings. To do otherwise can lead to violence and to death. It seems that after Miriam's and Aaron's gossipy attack on Moses' honor and God's response to that attack, the three siblings found a way to be okay with each other. Perhaps it was a side effect of Moses' plea for God's healing. In our present day world, where there is so much death being inflicted by hateful tongues, healing is needed urgently. El na rafana lanu. Please, God, heal us. Shabbat shalom. I'd like to invite Mr. Mike Rush to the bima. He will be sharing a few announcements with us. And let's see if there's something that's not here that I can share in the interim here. Nope, we'll just have a moment of silence.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Nice to see a large crowd here. Very nice. Please join the members of our temple family on Saturday, July 9, for a trip to Parkview Field to watch the Fort Wayne Tin Caps play the Lake County Captains, followed by post-game fireworks. The game starts at 6:35, and tickets for seats in the All-Star section behind home plate are $14 per person. Please call the temple office, you know the number, by Wednesday, July 22 to reserve your seats.
June 22nd.
June 22nd is the deadline for the reservations. The game is in July, and that's what it says here. Please join Rabbi Meir on Tuesday, June 21 at 7 p.m. on Zoom as we study the Jewish position on abortion and contraception from classic and contemporary texts. RSVP to the office by Thursday. This says May 16.
Oh dear, well, we know that's not true. For the class on Tuesday, please email ASAP or tell me tonight and we'll know you're coming.
This Tuesday night group, by the way, if you haven't been there, is a don't miss. Very interesting discussions take place there. We will not have a Shabbat service on Saturday, June 18, that being tomorrow. Yard site names for the week will be read on Friday, June 17, tonight. Want to thank Bruce Colgrove for his inaugural job as ushering tonight. Thank you to Samara and Sam Katinsky for bringing this service to those out and outside of the temple here. Can't read that.
Officer Paul.
Oh, Paul is our law enforcement officer tonight, and it's always nice to say hello to our law enforcement officers who keep us safe here. We appreciate them, and we need to let them know that. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Mike. I continue to inflict great pain and suffering on our announcement readers as I supplement it with things that we forgot to say, and they have to read my handwriting. And Mike did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. So we will not be having Shabbat services tomorrow morning, as Mike mentioned. I want to mention that a week from tomorrow morning, we will be having Shabbat services at 10 a.m., normally 9:45, but on the 25th, it will be at 10 a.m. in here, and we'll be celebrating a very special bar mitzvah. So please join us on Saturday morning, the 25th. It's a special moment in our community, and each one of them is precious to us. So please be here if you can. And we will continue our service on page 586. Please rise as you are able for Elenu. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gerula leyotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoe harazot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu V'nemar V'haya Adonai Lemelech Al Kol Haaretz Bayom Hahu Yiyeh Adonai Echad Ushemo Echad. You may be seated. Let us turn to page 598. 598. We have come to the time when we remember those who have died either recently or in this season in years past. I'll read our community's Kaddish list, and then I'll invite you to add the names of anyone you are remembering so that we may remember with you. This Shabbat continues the period of Shana, the death within the past year of Marvin Crystal, Vicky Sowers, Jennifer Cohen, Dr. Jerry Lesson, Norman Philip Nachum Pincus, Ethel Schnitt. This Shabbat marks the Yartzeit, the anniversary of death of David G. Altheed, Abraham Breitman, Michla Brendel, Mitchell Bronstein, Norma Jean Chambers, Gail Cousineau, Levi Edlovich, Morris Ehrman, Rose Gibson, Sarah Goldfarb, Bernard Gross, Leon Hassad, Julius Lyman Issei, Dr. James B. Katz, Helen Kornspan, Della Cranus, Danny Levin, Pearl Marks, Catherine Can Mendelblatt, Barbara Miller, Babette DeSauer Newworth, Shaye Nichtern, Burl Novitsky, Thelma Oxtein, Robert M. Pollock, Susan Schwartz Prigozhin, Myron Russ, Lottie Shulman, Doris Sedgwick, Harold Shire, Louis Siegel, Morris A. Stillpass, Leah S. Turco, Norma Trauner, Isidore Vigran, Billy A. Wenbert, Wayne C. Whistler, Abraham Wolf, Helena Wolf. And to these names we add for these names and the names we carry in our heart, the names of those who perished in the Shoah, the names of those who have perished in all senseless wars, most recently in Ukraine, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. Let us please rise in solidarity as a community to recite Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad yivrach cherotei ve'amlik malchutei, v'chayachon u'vyomachon u'chayei dekol beit Israel, bagalav v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnoram v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'yirshirata, tush bechata v'nechamata da'miran be'elma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. As we prepare to conclude, I'd like to offer for all of us the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. As I say these words and as you hear them, may you offer the blessings to each other and to me. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chunecha, may God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God turn toward you and grant you peace. Ken yehi ratzon, may this be God's will. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. There's the key. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Yai lai lai, ya lai 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 ya lai lai lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Let us gather for Kiddush.